How about the Swannies on the weekend? First week of finals for the AFL. Swans beat Melbourne by 22 points, I think it was. 91-69. That's right. The fucking Swans. How about them? I mean, beating the reigning champs, and now they're in a prelim final. Oh, it was so good to watch. They're the real deal. They're the real deal. I don't want to jinx anything, but they could go all the way. I didn't get to watch any of the other finals over the weekend, but as a summary, and I'll just quickly show you guys. If we do this, perfect. As you can see, the Brisbane Lions beat Richmond in a really tight one, 106-104. As I said, up the Swans, up the Bloods, fucking winning 91-69. Geelong beating Collingwood in another super tight one, only a goal in at 78-72, and Fremantle Dockers beating the Bulldogs 73-60. How close were all of them? I mean, such good matchups, such good games. The Dogs and Richmond are out. So this week, semi-finals. First one, Melbourne versus Lions. So Melbourne get a second chance. I'm going to say Melbourne win that one. And Collingwood and Dockers. Collingwood getting the second chance after they lost to Geelong. I'm going to say Collingwood win that one as well. So I'm just going to say, yeah, Melbourne and Collingwood in those ones. Because the only upset for the first week of finals was the Swans, based on where the teams finished on the ladder. The higher teams beat the lower teams. So, yeah, I'm going to stick simple with this next week. But, yeah. And then the Swans will face the winner of Collingwood and Fremantle. And Geelong will face the winner of Melbourne and Lions. So I'm going to say Geelong versus Melbourne and Swans versus Collingwood. I mean, it's a simple way to go. It's like the top four, but still, I'm going to do it. And then I'm going to say Swans Geelong final, probably. That's how I see it going. What about you guys? How do you see the AFL season wrapping up? I watched the F1 as well over the weekend, the Dutch Grand Prix, the second race of the triple header, because this week is Italy, this Sunday. But yeah, Max Verstappen cleaning up again, as usual. It was looking like he may not have won there, because, yeah, like, the Mercedes looked to be in the dominant position in the closing stages, but of course Max Verstappen cleans up and keeps his dominance at the track after returning to Zandvoort last year. He's won 2 from 2, and honestly, like, Verstappen's reign has, I think, started at the perfect time when this track was introduced. I can see him like literally winning every race as long as he's at Zandvoort. Become a bit of a fortress. Lewis ended up coming fourth. He was on for a win. I feel kind of bad. It's weird because I think the lead up to the race, every Mercedes seemed strong, and all the pundits were like, "Oh, I think this is Lewis's best chance of winning the race," and they nearly got it right. I don't know how they predicted that, but the Mercedes were strong, and Lewis was in the position to win. So basically, first there was a virtual safety car because Tsunoda had a weird retirement. He went into the pits, stopped on got medium tires, and he felt like one of the tires was loose. So then he started to stop, and then for some reason the team was like, no, and the engineers were like, no, there's no wheel loose, even though they're not in the car, and Tsunoda is. So anyway, Tsunoda then pitted for soft tires anyway, comes back out, and then suddenly he has like an issue with the rear or something, and then the engineer's like, oh no, stop the car. It was fucking weird. Anyway, that's not the point. That brought out a virtual safety car, the Mercedes double stacked. So that put Mercedes in a strong position. I think they were second and third behind Verstappen, but they had pitted and they were ready to chase him down, with Hamilton second, leading the Mercedes. And then there was another DNF not long after. That was Valtteri Bottas, and you got a feel for Botland. I think that's 3 DNFs in a row. I was looking at this recently. 3 DNFs in a row and like 6 races without any points. I don't know what the fuck's happened to Bottas's form, but to be honest, like most of it isn't his fault. Anyway, Bottas DNF. He had just like an engine problem. Pulled up next to the pit wall along the like pit straight, right at the end of the pit straight. Clearly a hazard, so they brought out the safety car, and at that point I was like, yes, safety car, because there hadn't been one all race. So then basically what happened, I think it was Verstappen pitted, so the Mercedes were now in the lead. No, Hamilton was in the lead. Yes, the Mercedes are in the lead, 1-2. Hamilton, Russell, then Verstappen in third. So Verstappen was going to chase them down. Now, look, it wasn't ideal because there was still like quite a few laps left. Like Verstappen probably could have chased both Mercedes down, but the Mercedes had pitted just recently under the virtual safety car, so reasonably fresh tyres, and they could have possibly held out, especially with Russell in between Verstappen and Hamilton. But then Russell pits as well for softs. So quite a selfish move. If clearly, yeah, the team choice would have been to stay in second, to give Hamilton a chance in first to run away. But no, Russell pitted, leaving Hamilton a sitting duck on older tyres. Hamilton had to restart, and literally by the end of the first straight, not even by halfway down the straight, Verstappen was already in front. And goodbye, Verstappen goes on to win. Yeah, it was a fuck up from Mercedes, and I think Lewis Hamilton was like really fucking pissed, and rightly so, with what the team had done to him. It was, but also like, you know, Hamilton he restarted at the wrong time, to be fair. He didn't do his restart very well. Verstappen was all over him within a matter of seconds. But it was definitely Mercedes, the team's fault, and like even his teammate Russell's fault, putting him in that position in the first place. And then, yeah, as I said, Hamilton sitting duck, and he ended up sliding down to fourth. And yeah, it's just sliding down the order. Didn't even get a podium. Fucking hurts. But Russell, yeah, Verstappen won, Russell second, Leclerc third. Shout out to Leclerc. Yeah, there's this crazy stat which I found out. Leclerc got his first podium, excluding winning. So the last time Leclerc got a podium without winning a race, so either second or third in the race, was Miami. So that's round 5. And this was race 15. So that's crazy. That shows like how much Ferrari have like fucked him over. He hasn't even been able to like sneak a podium here or there. It's just like consistency is completely out of the window. It's either he wins or DNFs basically. Yeah, so shout out to Charles getting his first podium since Miami. That's not a win because he won in Austria. Let's have a look at the rest of the results here. So Sainz finished 5th on track, I think. But he slid down to 8th because of a 5-second time penalty for an unsafe release in the pit lane. I kind of fucked Alonso over there. I like how Alonso is like always caught in something that will make him annoyed. like you're pretty much guaranteed to have Alonso annoyed at some point in the race. Speaking of Alonso, well, firstly, Perez came 5th. Perez has been like really quiet recently. He's kind of been outperformed, of course, by his teammate, but even the Mercedes, and usually one Ferrari driver. Carlos Sainz has been pretty consistent. This time, Leclerc. But still, Chipping in to the Red Bull points, they get 36, whereas Ferrari only get 19. So Ferrari losing out in terms of total points from the big three teams again, which is pretty much a regular case. Alonso, speaking of King Fernando, coming 6th. Norris 7th. Norris loves that P7 position. Ocon 9th. So the top 9 are as regular as it gets. 2 Red Bulls, 2 Mercedes, 2 Ferraris, 2 Alpines, and Norris. They're the top 9s in the total championship standings. And they came, they all fitted within the top 9 of this race as well. Like pretty much any race, if they don't retire, that's going to happen. And then it's usually just one other driver filling in that 10th spot. This time it was Lance Stroll coming 10th for the 5th time this season. So he's gotten 5 points and they're all from coming 10th 5 times. That's pretty hilarious, to be honest. Gasly 11th, Albon 12th, Schumacher 13th, Vettel 14th. Vettel got a 5-second penalty. It would have put him 13th, but look, 13th, 14th. Doesn't matter too much. There was a good little overtake that Schumacher did on Vettel. It took a few corners to get it done, so it was good side-by-side racing. But Schumacher, got the overtake on Vettel. That was like in the middle of the race somewhere, and it was good racing from those two. You love seeing them duking it out on track. Magnussen 15th, Zhou Guanyu 16th, Daniel Ricciardo 17th, and Latifi 18th, meaning Ricciardo the second slowest on track. I mean, I don't know what there is to say about Daniel. It's just shocking, really. Bottas and Tsunoda, the DNFs, as I mentioned. Speaking of Daniel Ricciardo, well, it's not so much about him, but about the vacant seat he left at McLaren. Oscar Piastri officially filling in that position for the next 2 years. 2-year deal for Oscar Piastri at McLaren. I feel like, this was, or it was, it was looking more and more likely to happen. Obviously, the Contract Recognition Board, the CRB, had a meeting earlier this week to decide who actually had the rights to Piastri in 2023. They figured out it was McLaren. I think Alpine took it on the chin quite well. Alpine, I think at this point have already started to look at other options. But anyway, they did this just to confirm that McLaren have the rights to Piastri, and so it was made official this week. I'm excited. It's weird. I still can't I just can't see Norris and Piastri as a pairing. I'm not saying it's going to be a bad thing. It's going to be really exciting. And it's going to be super interesting that Norris is almost the experienced veteran on that team, and he's only 22 or something. Norris has got enough experience, even how young he is. And that just adds more excitement to the team. 2 young guns at McLaren. Although, I'm not so fond of McLaren's outlook in the next few years. I just feel like they've been on the downward spiral, and Norris has just kind of been outperforming the car. I feel like the car is going down a bit. It's declining. So I'm not sure how that will go into next year, but on the basis of drivers, they've got 2 really good ones. So congrats to Piastri, and I can't wait to see another Aussie in the sport. Still awaiting confirmation as to where Ricciardo will go. Ricciardo spoke with Webber and Piastri as well, confirming that there wasn't any tension between getting replaced by another Aussie driver. So it's good to see all the Aussies in the sport. There's no beef between them. In other news, in terms of NRL, before we get into a review of round 25, problems at Manly. I don't know what is going on with this club. Reports, whispers, some confirmation that there's a lot of tension at the club between like a lot of the higher ups, but not even just the higher ups. So like even like there are reports that there's tension between the players. Usually, like when there's news about Manly, it's I just realised my light is on standby. Okay, how's that? Probably not much of a difference, just a bit more moody. Yeah, usually when there's news at Manly, it's like they're a very political club, and it's usually the issues are with the higher ups. We churn out CEOs, and yeah, this time, obviously, a lot of recent rumours that Des Haslow's on the way out. That there's a lot of tension between him and management. And I think Des still wants to stay there long term, I think. And I think if he wants to keep that position, they're going to try and get him to lessen his control of the club, I guess. Apparently, like Des likes to have a lot of control at whichever club he goes to. Basically, the club just want him to focus on coaching. Just don't lose Des Hasler. Seriously, just they need to keep him at this stage. I know. I think like if he's to go, I just want it to be. Or I don't want it to be anything like this. But if he is to go, it has to be that like Des Hasler isn't happy and the club isn't happy and they're both not happy. And that's how they part ways, not based on the form on the field. I know Manly lost 7 in a row, but please, can we be patient? Can the club be patient? And let's start next year with a full strength side in round 1 and the first few rounds, and let's just see how it goes, okay? See it. We don't need to fucking sign another coach again. I just hate how. I mean, look, it makes life interesting, makes the game interesting, but the last few years, like the NRL has churned out so many different coaches. Des Hasler, I think he needs to stay the coach. In terms of coaches to replace him, I just don't feel like there's that many. There's guys like Billy Slater or Shane Flanagan, but like I just don't think they have the same passion as Des for his club. Manly always like to have usually an ex-player from the club who played in the past, because they have the passion for the club. It's a natural passion because they played for them, and Des Hasler is one of them. Yeah, Manly need to keep him. And beyond the tension from the higher ups, there's obviously like a lot of rumours that there's tension like in the playing group. Tom Trbojevic came out and like denied any of this. But I don't know. Like I just don't think these rumours are being sprouted from nothing. Reportedly, half the team didn't show up to Mad Monday, which is a crime, and they should be sacked. No. But come on, you got to show up for Mad Monday, surely. Reports that a lot of the players aren't like happy with DCE in particular. Calls for Jake Trbojevic to become captain, because a lot of the players listen to him more, apparently. Apparently, like, Cherry Evans isn't even on speaking terms with some of the players now. I don't know how much of this is true and how much of it is just rumours, but look, with every day, the news is building and building at Manly, and I feel like we're going to reach a climax. Something's going to happen. The coach is going to go. A big-time player is going to go, or a captaincy change. Look, so yeah, it's going to build to a climax. I feel like we're just getting started, or we're only getting started with these problems at Manly. And the news at Manly continues. Wayne Bennett apparently talking with the Trbojevics and their, what do you call them? Managers? No. Agents, yeah. The big man himself, Bennett, the super coach, on speaking terms with the Trbojevics. Nothing's going to happen from it. The Trbojevics are staying at Manly. All the news about them threatening to walk out if Des Hasler goes, like, wow, I really hope that's not true. The Trbojevics have to stay at Manly. They're not going to Dolphins. They're just not. They're just not. And yeah, I mean, look, I wonder how much a win on the weekend would have done to suppress a lot of this noise. But Manly going down to the Bulldogs 21-20, and Manly were on top as well. They looked really dominant with the first few minutes. I know they went to 16-0, and then the Bulldogs brought it back to 16-12 at halftime, and then Bulldogs scored again. Then Manly scored again, and it was 20-16. It went to 20 all. Bulldogs scoring in the final few minutes via Kyle Flanagan, and then Burton gets the field goal in the dying minutes. Yeah, what a comeback from the Dogs. But geez, I mean, just to compound, like add insult to injury, at Manly, losing by a point would have been heartbreaking. Both of these clubs wanted to finish the season strong with a win, and it was the Bulldogs who did it. Amazing that Manly beat the Bulldogs by a point earlier in the season, so the points differential from the Seagulls versus Bulldogs games this year, dead on. Yeah, I mean, Manly came out of the blocks really strong, and it looked like Des had fired them up, especially the forwards. He'd fired the forwards up. Marty Tapau, actually had a really good game. He scored a try as well. Toff Sipley made a line break that resulted in the first try, I think. Des fired him up, but they couldn't sustain it, and the Dogs came back. How about yeah, that was the second game of the round. How about the first? The Eels and the Storm. Eels winning 22-14. Wow, it was a great match. Proper final stuff. It was just to decide fourth place, and the Eels got it, and deservedly so. Wow, they were amazing, the Eels. Before the last 10 minutes, they were as professional and clinical as it gets. They just completely shut out the Storm. And the Storm couldn't do anything about it. The Eels were amazing. The halves, Dylan Brown and Mitch Moses. I'm so looking forward to them in this final series. But they are on fire. They just need to work on the last 10 minutes. They need to work on the last 10 minutes because the Storm started to come back, and suddenly that lead didn't look like much at all. How about the Parramatta crowd as well at Bankwest? Wow, they just sound so good. A packed crowd there, just absolutely electric. And when Sivo crosses the line, oh my god, the Sivo chant is probably the best thing in the game. Amazing. Eels get fourth, and they play Penrith in week 1. How far can they go? I can see the Eels making the grand final. I can't see them winning this week against the Panthers. Well, I can see them winning this week against the Panthers, but I reckon Panthers will get it. And then the pressure will be on the Eels, winning 2 straight games to at least get to the grand final. But I can see the Eels doing it. And a Panthers-Eels grand final would be fucking amazing. But I feel like, this is the most primed the Eels have been leading into a final series in a long time. Even in the last few years, they've made the finals consistently, and usually 5th place, 5th to 6th or above. This time they make the top 4. But not only have they finished in the top 4, they've their momentum. They've got momentum, which unlike they have in previous years. I feel like the Eels could shake up this finals series a lot. Even if they bow out in a prelim, I think it's a successful year. If they don't get to a prelim, I think it's really disappointing. Really disappointing. They have to get to a prelim at least. As for the Storm, I can see them bowing out in the first round. They're a different Storm, and we haven't seen them fit outside of the top 4 since 2014, I think it is. Crazy. Storm coming 5th. Yeah, but no Jerome Hughes, and they get him back this week. So I feel like that's going to make a big difference. But yeah, the Storm have just struggled with injury this year. the Roosters and Rabbitohs, the Friday night blockbuster at the new stadium. How good was that? That was, yeah, what a game. What a game. The Roosters winning 26-16, getting the bragging rights at the new stadium. And I feel like there were more Roosters fans than Rabbitohs as well. I think they overpowered them there. Oh, quickly before I move on, the Eels and Storm game. How about Mitch Moses' tackle on Kenny Bromwich? I feel like this tackle has so much weight behind it. Like it has, this tackle could be everything to the Eels. It could lead them all the way. I feel like this tackle is the start of something. It's a spark, and I feel like it's a representation of how the Eels are going at the moment. Moses absolutely dumping Kenny on the ground, and the fact that Kenny got like injured from it as well. Not like, yeah, just rattled. He got rattled. What a tackle. That was amazing. Yeah, I feel like it's a significant moment in the Eels season. I could be overplaying it. But yeah, no, I really think this tackle has a lot of weight to it. But yeah, onto the Roosters and Rabbitohs. The Roosters fired out of the blocks, but the Rabbitohs were coming at them at the end. So Rabbitohs scored the last 2 tries. Even when the Rabbitohs got a sin bin, Latrell Mitchell sin bin, I think then they went on to score a brilliant try. They kept passing it along, and Tane Milne scored in the corner. But a big talking point, Joey Manu injured, calf injury. He's out for the season. It looks like he's expected to play in the World Cup, but that's a huge blow for the Roosters and their chances of going all the way. I still think they can do it, and I can still see them reaching the grand final, but look, I expect the Panthers to win the whole comp anyway. But even without Joey Manu, I still feel like they can get to where I expected them to get. And yeah, I think they get a lot more of their players back on board this week, but still, I mean, a huge loss. How are they going to cover it? We'll have a look at the team list soon, actually, for this round, because it's a Tuesday, so they've dropped this afternoon. But how will the Roosters fix the centre problem? So they've got Tupou, Suali'i. Surely they both stay on the wings. I know Suali'i could play centre, but they got to keep him on the wing just because he's played there all year. And then probably Momirovski and Hutchison in centres, I guess. But yeah, they might target Momirovski at centre. I don't think he's been the best this year, really. But yeah, so not ideal for the Roosters, but they got the win and secured a home final. So how good is it that Roosters versus Rabbitohs 2 weeks in a row? I love that. I love the rematch story. Can the Rabbitohs get revenge? The Titans beat the Warriors on Saturday, 27-26, a 1-pointer. And who sealed the deal? It was Tanner Boyd. Wow, what a field goal. Like, to cap off a brilliant season from Tanner Boyd, and he's locked in this halfback jersey for the remaining weeks and possibly even next year. Tanner Boyd, yeah, he's been really good. If they want to keep him there for next year, even when Kieran Foran is arriving, well, maybe they might move him to 6. But, well, initially I thought it should have been Jaden Campbell fullback, AJ Brimson 6, Kieran Foran 7, and no room for Tanner Boyd. Maybe they will stick with that, but with Tanner Boyd's form, and yeah, coming in clutch with a field goal to win this game and to cap off the Titans' season in the final game, I think, yeah, the Titans could easily decide to do Kieran Foran and Tanner Boyd in the halves next year. But then who plays fullback between Campbell and AJ Brimson? You could put AJ Brimson and then Campbell on the wing. Kind of like Suali'i and Cobo, touted to be fullbacks later. You could put Campbell there, but Campbell's already been playing fullback. Yeah, I mean, as well as Tanner Boyd's been playing, with Kieran Foran arriving next year, I don't think you can have him there. But anyway, and because you need Jaden Campbell in there. How about fucking slice through defenders for a beautiful try in this game. And that was on the Titans' comeback because the Warriors were like 26-12 in the last 10 minutes. And then the Titans came storming back and won. I feel bad for the Warriors crowd. Would have been great for them to finish off the season in New Zealand with a win. And they were playing some great footy to begin the match. Some great tries in this game. How about Vailea off the scrum, just like sidestepping, I think it was Tanner Boyd actually, but sidestepping a Titans player and just like streaking all the way to the line from about, halfway. Brilliant, yeah. Electric from the Warriors and the Titans as well. Both just like, I love the fast footy, high scoring game, lots of points. I didn't get to watch the whole thing. I really just caught the end, but yeah, looked good to watch. And then the next game was Dragons and the Broncos. The Dragons destroying the Broncos' finals hopes with 22-12. The Broncos could have been in the 8 just, for a few minutes before the Raiders for a day before the Raiders completely shattered their hopes by shattering the Tigers' dignity. But the Broncos didn't even get didn't even make a fist of it. They went down to the Dragons disappointingly. I actually tipped the Dragons. So even though I expected the Broncos to win, I was just like, so I'm pretty happy with that actually. The Dragons, they finished 10th, but 2 wins outside of the 8. Honestly, I think it's been a really impressive year from the Dragons. I'll get to this later. But yeah, Ben Hunt standing up as he has a lot from the season and probably getting some Dally M points, which could secure the Dally M for him. Could be, critical in the race to the Dally M medal because Ben Hunt, he had a cracking game. And how about the last try? Matthew Feagai. Wow, that is incredible. Yeah, well done to the Dragons. They like their home ground as well. They play really well there. And then the Cowboys and Panthers rounded out Saturday. Cowboys winning 38-8. But don't be alarmed by the scoreline. I think everyone would know at this point. Panthers were their like whole reserve side. But credit to them. I think, they tried their hardest. They didn't get absolutely demolished. It was very comfortable from the Cowboys, but the Cowboys were full strength. Some of the tries were great as well. The Cowboys' backline just absolutely on fire. And Valentine Holmes scoring a hat-trick. And Holmes was insane. He's just running away. Lots of runaway tries. But at home, Cowboys too strong. I think that was expected. But they could only manage 3rd on the ladder because then the next day, Sharks putting up the same amount of points with 38, beating the Knights 16, so that the Sharks secured 2nd and getting the home final. I didn't watch this game. Lots of runaway tries in this one as well. There were like 3 to 4 runaway tries, all from different players, including Luke Metcalf. Apparently, it was like one of his first few touches of the game, and he goes like 80 meters to score. Dom Young got an intercept. Jesse Ramian and Britt Nakora also scored. Oh, Britt Nakora got a hat trick. There you go. I think like all of his tries were like exactly the same as well, just like crashing over. So, I'm not sure how much Nico Hines did in this game to get any, like whether he got any, whether he played well enough to get any Dally M points or not. Personally, it feels like the Dally M race is going to be between Ben Hunt and Nico Hines. I feel like it should be Nico Hines just because it's his first full season at halfback and where he's taken the Sharks all the way to 2nd. I know it's been a team effort, but Hines has been leading them like a true leader. I feel like despite Hunt's efforts and like how amazing he is, he could only carry his team to 10th, and yes, he literally carried them there, but he couldn't even make the finals. I just feel like, look, I think they both deserve it, but I'd love to see Hines win it. Final game, Raiders This was a highlight because I was actually in Canberra over the weekend for a couple days, and it was so good. I mean, obviously the match wasn't in Canberra, but just watching on TV live, the Canberra Raiders just destroy the Tigers 56-10. It was at Leichhardt, and we know the Tigers like to bottle it at Leichhardt. It's basically not a home ground because they always play so shit there. They always lose there. But yeah, I mean, I missed the first half an hour. I turned on the TV and it was 42-0. So I think I missed the most exciting part, but there was still, 24 points from both teams after that for the next 50 minutes. So yeah, still got a lot of tries in there. Raiders never in doubt to make the finals. Good on them. Getting that 8th. And how about, Tarpane and Papali'i are just insane. The Tigers started to come back there. The Tigers' first 10 to 15 minutes of the second half, incredible. They played so well. You could see that they just came out and were angry as fuck. And they were like, all right, like, this is just, like, fucking ridiculous. Let's actually play. And they turned up. But then the Raiders, they gassed themselves out after 15 minutes. And then the Raiders ran away with it at the end. I loved seeing Dane Warry get that try as well, because he's just been an absolute toiler for them all year, trying his hardest. And he gets, I think, what was his second try of the year? Can't believe he only scored 2. Deserved more than that, because he's been really good this year. And guess who? It was Adam Dewey who set him up. But yeah, Tigers started to come back. But then Raiders shut the gate. It was funny because Tarpane and Papali'i were off the field at the time the Tigers were scoring tries. They literally come on for like a minute, and in their first set they roll downfield, and the Raiders score. They literally could have just come on and then scored, and then be like, all right, cool, see ya, we're gonna rest again. Tarpane and Papali'i, the best front row combination in the comp, I think, for this year. They are incredible, and Papali'i's try was just amazing as well. Just shrugging off defenders. But yeah, that was it for the weekend of footy. Great round. Let's have a look at the team lists. I haven't yet. They dropped this afternoon. Panthers versus Eels on Friday night. Oh my God, how good is this going to be? The Eels red hot, and as we know, the Panthers, they're going to be full strength, and they've had all their players have had like the week break because they sealed the minor premiership easily with games to spare. So the Panthers should be full strength 1-17. Obviously, they're going to have a lot of ins, but that's because none of their starting 13 played last week. Yeah, they're full strength. And the Eels, hang on, yeah, you guys are seeing this? Good. Okay, yeah, I think that is full strength, right? Yeah, no outs. Okay. Saturday, yeah, I'm going to take Panthers on this one. I can see the Eels winning, but I just feel like, you got to tip Panthers. They're just too strong. Storm versus Raiders. The early game on Saturday, 5:40. And I'm going to pick the Raiders here. I reckon the upset is brewing in Melbourne. We know they've beaten Melbourne in Melbourne the last 4 times or something. But how are Melbourne going to stack up? They've got Hughes back. I know that. Huge in for the Storm. No outs. Okay, Kenny Bromwich and Meaney should be right to go despite being injured against the Eels. Just slight injuries. Shouldn't see much about that. Otherwise, Hughes is in. And the Raiders, the red hot Raiders. Jackie Whiten back on board after being rested last week. Their sexy forward pack. Oh, pack. Getting a bit too excited. Oh, Elliot Whitehead's back as well. Of course, in second row. Missed that one. Yep. Okay, and on Saturday, 7:50 p.m, Sharks versus Cowboys. I feel like this match might like go under the radar a bit, but I'm super looking forward to this one. Yeah, this is going to be amazing. It's going to be really hard to split these two. Kennedy, Will Kennedy back on board at fullback. I wonder how long has he been out for again? Okay, Talakai's been named because I know he suffered, well, he was the victim of a hip drop injury on the weekend. But Talakai's still named. Connor Tracy's on the wing. Yep, okay. Yeah, okay, Talakai will be racing the clock though, because yes, he did get injured. Okay, there's more ins that I didn't notice. Finucane, Toby Rudolph, and Connor Tracy, as well as Will Kennedy. McInnes and Hamlin Ueli are back to the bench. Lockie Miller, Matt Cavalli, and Aiden Tolman all go to the reserves. How about the Cowbs? Okay. Tom Dearden is back. Yes, he's back. So Hammer, back to the bench. Oh, Cohen Hess is back from 1 game suspension as well. So Jermaine Tornell-Brown goes to the reserves. That's it. Who am I taking on this one? Probably Sharks, just because of the home advantage. And yes, they are playing at PointsBet, not Allianz. So probably just because of the home advantage. But I feel like a lot of people will be writing off the Cowboys in this one. I feel like a lot of people have forgotten about the Cowboys just because of all these other teams that have hit form, like the Sharks, Roosters, Eels. I hope the Cowboys do some damage in the finals. I mean, I'd be elated if they went all the way. That'd be fucking amazing. We'll have to see how far they go. Okay, the Roosters. As I predicted, Momorowski and Hutchison in the centres with no Joey Manu. Suali'i's back. Okay, so Warrior Hargraves and Taukeaho are going to be the starting props. Matthew Lodge is on the bench. Adam Kieran's on the bench. Interesting. Joey Manu is expected to be sidelined for 2 to 3 weeks. I wonder if the Roosters made the grand final, whether he would play. That would be interesting. Okay, Radley's back from concussion, of course. He was at lock. Takeaho goes to prop. Matt Lodge on the bench. Okay, Adam Kieran playing only his 3rd game of the season. That's an interesting one. You would have thought Trent Robinson would have put maybe Terrell May there. He hasn't opted for that extra utility because I know there's Connor Watson he's not an outside back, but anyway, interesting one from coach Trent Robinson there. How about the Bunnies? Campbell Graham's back. I think he's back, yeah. He was out. Damien Cook is back. Okay, Peter Mamwazelis is back to the reserves. Wait, he's back to the reserves? No, he's out. He's just out. Cameron Murray's been named to play, despite that nasty concussion last week in like the first tackle of the game. If he's going to be out, Jai Arrow may switch to lock and Davi Moawe could come into the 17. Cook returns from COVID. Havili's back to the interchange. Mamwazelis drops out. Campbell Graham is back, pushing Jackson Paulo to the reserves. So this is the Sunday Arvo game. I love that it's going to be an Arvo game at Allianz. Different dynamic to last week. I expect the Roosters to win despite losing Joey Manu. I expect them to win again, but like you often see this happen where, and it hasn't happened a lot through history, but maybe even with like a few games in between, not necessarily direct consecutive games, but you often see if one team wins one week, then the other will win shortly after. So I can see the Bunnies upsetting the Roosters here. The Chooks just need to get in the right mindset and not be like, oh, we beat them before, so we'll just do it again. They have to come up with something new because they should know that the Bunnies will be throwing new stuff at them. And the Bunnies will know where they went wrong. And the Bunnies, not only do the Roosters lose Joey Manu, Bunnies get a lot of ins as well. Cook, Campbell Graham, Cameron Murray will be a huge one. If Cameron Murray's playing, I will be tempted to tip the Rabbitohs. I just feel like it's going to be weird losing either of these teams after just 1 week of the finals. It feels like they're both top 4 teams, especially if it was to be the Roosters. So I think the Roosters should win. I'll be tempted to tip the Bunnies. I know I'm not exactly confirming a tip there. If Cameron Murray doesn't play, Roosters win. Simple as that. That's how I'm going. Oh, I can't wait. How about these matchups? The NRL couldn't have asked for better matchups to start the final series. I mean, just like rivalries, like recent rivalries, old rivalries. Yeah, I love it. I can't wait. Every match is going to be an absolute belter.